Welcome back to Recap IT. Today we are going to recap a 1983 sci-fi horror movie titled The Fly. A brilliant but eccentric scientist begins to transform into a giant man/fly hybrid after one of his experiments goes horribly wrong. But before we begin, please consider subscribing to this channel. Now without wasting any further time, let's begin, shall we? Seth, an eccentric scientist, is the protagonist of this film. Veronica, a science journalist from Particle magazine, is the first person he meets. She doesn't seem to be impressed readily by what he says. He's been working on something that will change the world, or, to be more exact, he's been working on something that will change the world for the better. They pull up as they enter the lab, and she agrees. The lab appears normal to her, nothing stands out, and he begins to demonstrate how it operates. He teleports her underwear, and it's gone in a flash, as depicted. He drags her across the room to the second telepods, which is her underwear. It's called teleportation, and she's perplexed by what she's just witnessed. At the same moment, Veronica informs her editor, Stachys, of what she has witnessed. Regrettably, he does not believe it. Seth arrives at the same time to greet her. He is pleased to learn that no one trusts his experiment. He also asks her to document his idea solely, with Veronica accompanying him to keep track of his development. Seth can take the next step by making his device capable of transporting live creatures with the help of a baboon, but he fails. A baboon has ripped apart after being teleported after a few experiments, as demonstrated. Seth seemed to be exhausted at the time. Veronica joins him on the bed and tries to tease him. After that, they have sex. Seth then separates from Veronica because he feels something sharp is lodged on his back, causing him pain. As demonstrated, Seth tries yet another experiment with a steak. He removes the steak halves from the stove and places the relocated half in front of Veronica on a table. He invites her to try it, and she determines that the steaks have distinct flavors. Finally, he realizes that rather making the thing itself, the machine is creating a synthetic imitation of biological substance. He successfully teleports a second baboon after reprogramming the machine to understand the nature of biological tissue. Veronica leaves before they can celebrate, and Seth is envious since he knows she'll go see her former boyfriend while inebriated. Seth teleports himself alone, oblivious to the fact that a fly enters the transmitter pod with him, and he seems normal when he emerges from the receiving pod, which is successful. When Veronica returns, she kisses him and they start making love without Seth recognizing there are skin marks with a weird rough texture, like a fly scratch. Strange things happen the next day, after the initial seeming triumph. Seth transforms into an athlete, unaware to the fact that he is gaining extraordinary agility and strength. Veronica is doubtful, and she is concerned about both of their sanities eroding, as well as the weird and bristly hairs emerging from his back wound, which she cuts off while he tries to force Veronica to teleport. He wants her to transform into him, but she refuses. Seth becomes abrasive, insisting on the benefits of the method. He chooses to go to a bar in search of someone. He participates in arm wrestling with his opponent, resulting in a complex fracture. He later tries to persuade her to teleport. Veronica comes at the same time and steps in to help. He's changing, his appearance has deteriorated, and his odor has also deteriorated. Freaks out and orders her to go. He takes out his electric razor and starts shaving the odd hairs from his face. When his fingernails start to fall out, he realizes something is wrong. He analyzes his computer's data and sees that the telepods mingled the two life forms at the molecular genetic level, uniting him with the fly. After a few weeks, he reconnects with Veronica and discloses that he is transforming into a human-insect hybrid known as Brundlefly. She finds him slouched on an old sofa when she arrives. She approaches him, wary of his horrifying appearance. It's shown as he begins to explain what happened. She seeks support from Stachys. He recommends that she record Seth and show it to him. He also demonstrates how he consumes in a manner similar to that of a fly. Stachys keeps an eye on the tape. She screams angrily. Everybody is taken aback by what they see. She's about to give birth to a massive maggot. Veronica approaches him but pulls back a short distance. The alterations in his look astounded her. They remain motionless for a beat before he speaks, but even Seth's voice has grown terrifying. She's unable to inform him of his pregnancy. He warns her that if she approaches him, he will harm her. She desires that Stachys and convinces a doctor to perform an abortion in the middle of the night, but Seth abducts her before the procedure can be completed, pleading with her to bring the child to term since it could be the final vestige of his humanity. Stachys attempts to get into Seth's lab with a shotgun, but Seth disables him by destroying Stachys' hand and foot with his corrosive vomit, stopping just short of spitting acid over his face. Seth discloses his final plan to Veronica when she pleads for him to stop. He would use the telepods to combine the two of them, as well as the unborn child, into one entity to become the ideal family. And this is where the movie comes to an end. I hope you enjoyed it. As always, until next time.